Hello and welcome to All Sides Academy. In this video, we're going to go through calculation and accuracy, and this is the foundation stage. So we're going to begin with directed numbers. Directed numbers are also called integers. So the things you need to remember is this, that when you use a number line, if you're adding, you need to move in a positive direction or to the right. And if you're subtracting, move to the negative direction or to the left. So we have a question here that has temperatures of different places, and we are supposed to write down the names of two places that had the biggest temperature difference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all those temperatures on my number line first. That's the first thing that I'm going to do. So I'll start with Cardiff that has -6 degrees Celsius right there. Belfast has -4 degrees Celsius. And then we have Edinburgh with -7. And then London with 3. And then Plymouth with 5 degrees Celsius. So the biggest temperature difference will be given by the highest and the lowest temperatures. So we have to take note of the cities that have the highest and the lowest temperatures. So in our case, we have -7 and -5. The one that has -7 is Edinburgh, and the one with +5 is Plymouth. So we are going to write that as the names of the places. So Plymouth and Edinburgh. In the second question, we have been asked to work out the difference in temperature between these two places. Difference is always given by highest temperature minus lowest temperature. So I'll write that. Highest minus lowest. Our highest has 5 degrees Celsius, our lowest -7. So 5 minus -7. The two negatives will turn and be positive. So we will write that as 5 plus 7, and that gives us 12 degrees Celsius. The second question asks two pairs of places with a temperature difference of 2 degrees Celsius. So we'll go back to the number line and try identify which two places have a temperature difference of 2 degrees Celsius. So we have the first two, that is -6 and -4, and then the second two, that is 3 and 5. So let's note which places, that's what we have been asked. So we have the first two, that is Belfast and Cardiff. And then we also have the second two. The second two were 3 and 5, and that is London and Plymouth. So we're going to write that down. Take note of London and Plymouth. So we'll write Belfast and Cardiff. And then the second pair will be given by London and Plymouth. In the next question, we are given temperatures at different times of the day. So we're going to first use a number line to write down these temperatures so that we know which one is the highest and which one is the lowest before we can even answer the question. So using the number line, the negatives will be on your left-hand side and the positives will be on your right-hand side. So I'll take note of each of those temperatures. The negatives start from 0, -2, then we have -4, -6, -10. And then the positives will have 6 and 7. All right, so the highest temperature then will be 7. And the lowest will be -10. So it's so easy to identify that using a number line. So work out the difference in temperature between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. So you take note of the temperatures between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. Temperature difference will be given by highest minus lowest. So the highest is given by -4, sorry, minus the lowest, which is -10. So -4 minus -10. The two negatives become positive. So -4 plus 10. So the positive can start and then the negative. So 10 minus 4, that gives us 6. In the second part, the temperature difference between 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. So the highest will be given by 6 degrees Celsius and the lowest -2. So 6 minus -2. The two negatives turn and become positive, so we will have that as 6 plus 8, 2, which is 8. Yes. All right. At 11 p.m. that day, the temperature had fallen by 5 degrees Celsius from its value at 7 p.m. Work out the temperature at 11. So we take note of the temperature at 7, which is -2. Falling means subtract. So we get -7 as our answer. So when you're subtracting these two numbers, it's like putting the 2 and 5 together to get 7, but your answer is negative. But in this question, we are given planets and different temperatures. So the temperature difference between Mars and Jupiter. Find the highest, take away the lowest. Always temperature difference start with the highest and the lowest. So Mars and Jupiter, the highest is -60. So -60 minus -150. The two negatives turn and become positive. So we will rewrite that as -60. -60 plus 150. We can always start with the positive, then the negative. So that gives us 90 as our temperature difference. The temperature difference between Venus and Mars. So Venus and Mars, the temperature difference will be given by highest minus lowest. Always remember that. So the highest is 480 and the lowest is -60. So 480 minus -60. So the two negatives will become positive. So we write that as 480 plus 60, and that gives us 540 degrees Celsius as our temperature difference. Which planet has a temperature 30 degrees Celsius higher than the temperature in Saturn? So here higher means we are adding 30 to the temperature in Saturn. So -180 plus 30 is what you will do. When you're given higher, you have to add the temperature. That's what I've said. Yeah, so -180 plus 30. Now we can always start with the positive, then the negative. Now for this, remember when you have a big number, subtract a small number, we always get a positive answer. So if it's the small number, then the big one will get a negative answer. So our answer will be -150. But remember, they've asked you which planet. So you identify the planet, and in this case, it's Jupiter. So we write that. All right, so the temperature on Pluto is 20 degrees lower than the temperature in Uranus. Work out the temperature on Pluto. All right, so when you're asked to find the temperature and it's 20 degrees lower, it means that we are going to subtract 20 from the temperature in Uranus. So identify the temperature in Uranus, which is -210, and if it's lower, we are going to subtract. So we write that as -210. -210, that is the temperature in Uranus. 210, take away 20 degrees Celsius. So that gives us 230, but it's a negative. Yeah, so that is our temperature. So here we are given a thermometer and we are supposed to first find the temperature. So we need to read that. So when you try read the temperature calibration, those are 3 steps: 0, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so that is 3 degrees Celsius. The temperature falls by 8 degrees Celsius. Falling means we are going to subtract 8 from the original temperature. So if we have been given 3 as our starting temperature, falling will mean that we are going to subtract. So I'm going to write that down, subtract. Falling, lower, all those mean subtracting. So we'll take the 3, take away 8, which is, now remember, we had said that when it's a big number, take away a small number, we'll get a positive, but if it's the other way around, we'll get a negative. So that gives us -5. So in this, we are given a table, a two-way table. We are asked to find the lowest temperature in London. So temperature difference is going to be highest minus lowest. So -6 minus -8. The two negatives give you a positive. So you write that as -6 plus 8, and that gives us 2 when we start with the positive. Work out the difference between the highest and the lowest temperature in London. So we follow the row of London. Temperature difference is highest minus lowest. So the temperature in London that is the highest is 8 degrees Celsius. The lowest is -6. So 8 and -6. So we will write 8 minus -6. So the two negatives give you a positive. So you rewrite that as 8 plus 6, which gives you 14 degrees Celsius. Okay, in this table, we are given different temperatures and we are asked which city had the lowest temperature. So for this, always use a number line. It's very easy to be able to look at this when you have negatives and positives on one side. Yeah, so -1, -4, and -6. So the lowest temperature is -6 and the city is Glasgow. So we're going to write that because we are asked to write the city. So remember, do not write the temperature, write the city, because that's what the question is asking. So in this case, we'll write Glasgow. Go. Okay, work out the difference between the temperature in Cardiff and the temperature in Belfast. Temperature difference is given by highest minus lowest. So the temperature difference will be given by the highest is 5. So those are the two. The highest is 5 minus -1. The two negatives give you a positive. So you're going to have that as 5 plus 1. 5 plus 1 gives us what? 6. And that's the temperature difference. By Tuesday, the midday temperature in London had risen by 7 degrees Celsius. Work out the midday temperature in London on Tuesday. Yeah, so risen will mean that we are going to add 7 to the temperature in London on Tuesday. So we have to identify the temperature in London, which is -4, and it has risen. So risen means adding. Risen, higher, all those mean we are adding to the temperature. So -4 plus 7. Now we can start with the positive, then the negative. That gives us 3 as our answer. Now, place value. So that number will be given as 7,025. So you have to add those separately, 7,025. Write the number in words. So that is 9,000, 9,400, 9,450. Write the number to the nearest whole number. So the number 28.75 to the nearest whole number. So we have one side which has the decimal, the whole number, the other one that has a decimal. So we're going to put that line. If that number is 5 and above, it rounds the number 8 up by 1. So our answer there will be 29. Write the number 7,380 to the nearest thousand. So first, write each of these digits in terms of the place value. So we'll start with the ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands. So I'll just use letters to represent that. Ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands. So to the nearest thousands means we are focusing on the 7. So the number next to 7 is the 3. It's 4 and below, so it will not round the 7 up. So it remains as 7 and our number will be 7,000. Write down the value of 3 in the number 4,376. So please take note of this. When you're writing the value 300s, so you have to write 300s or 300. The same as the second question, the value of 3, the place values there is tenths, hundredths with a th after the decimal. So you have to write 3 tenths or 0.3 in that case. All right, 90 divided by 10, the 2 zeros cancel out. So you remain with 9/1, which is 9. All right, so ordering numbers. So in this case, we have decimal places. So you have to take note of the numbers before the decimal place and the numbers after. So look at the ones before the decimal place first. And if they are not the same, then you can be able to use that to order your numbers from smallest. So I'm going to use a line and try divide those numbers so that we are able to see the ones that are before the decimal places. So we have 2, 4, 0, and 13. So we can be able to state which one is the smallest. So 0, which means 0.6, then 2.8, then 4.71. So we'll write 4.71, and then we'll follow by 13.4. Fantastic. And that is as simple as that. Right. So I'm going to wrap that so that our work remains neat. Okay. Write 7/10 as a decimal. I know this is a very simple question. So there's one way. The 10 gives one decimal to the number, or you can decide to do the long method, which is dividing those numbers, and that gives you 0.7 as the answer. So remember the numerator and the denominator. All right, so here we are to order these numbers. So start by looking at the hundreds because that's the smallest. So we'll start with 399. Then we move to the thousands place value and compare each of them. So we have 2 3s and 2 4s. So you go back to the hundreds for the 3 in the thousands. So we have 3 and 0. So the one with the smaller one comes next, and then followed by the next one, 3,333. Then now you move to the one that has 4 in the thousands, and then compare the hundreds place value. So 0 and 1, 0 will come first, and then that as the last one. Write this in order of size, starting with the smallest. Use the method of numbers before the decimal place. So 3, 5, 0, and 14. So we'll have 0 starting. So 0.7, then 3.7, then 5.62, then 14.3 as our order. All right, write this as a decimal. Using the long method, numerator in, denominator out. So you ask yourself how many times that goes into 90, and that is your answer. And then the last one here. Now this has numbers before the decimal place having 0. So in this case, we cannot use the method that we used. So we look for the highest decimal place, which is 3, and make all the numbers to have 3 decimal places. So writing this as a fraction, it will mean that we have 610 over 1,000, and 100 over 1,000, 160 over 1,000, and then 106 over 1,000. So they have the same denominators, so we can compare the numerators. Okay, those are the numerators right there, the numbers at the top. So which one is the smallest? 100 is going to be the smallest, so we write that's decimal. And then the second one is 100, 0.106, and then 0.16, and then 0.61. So 1, nope, 2, 3, and 4. And you're done with place value. All right, BIDMAS, brackets. All right, so we start with division first, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. So the order gives us 10 right there. So for this one, we have multiplication. So we cancel out what we don't have. We start with multiplication. So this is -2 times 5, which gives us -10. Then we write 10 minus 10, which gives us 0 when we subtract. All right, so here we have brackets starting. So 2 times 4 gives us 8. And then we rewrite 16 divided by 8. So the division gives us 2. And that is done with BIDMAS. All right, so Bert says 20 minus 5 times 3 is 45. Pat says it's 5. Okay, is 45 and 5. Who is right? So in this case, you can decide to use BIDMAS to calculate and see who gets the correct answer. So using that order, we'll start with multiplication. -5 times 3 gives us -15. Then we write 20 minus 15, which gives us, so this is subtraction, 5. So Pat is right, of course. Why? How would you write your reason? He's of course used BIDMAS. He's followed the order of those operations. Work out 12 plus 9 divided by 3. So we start with brackets always. So the brackets are 12 plus 9, which gives us 21. Then we write 21 divided by 3, which gives us 7 as our answer in that case. Work out. So BIDMAS, we always follow BIDMAS. So we start with multiplication comes before subtraction. So 3 times 3 is 9. And then we rewrite that as 9 take away 5, which gives us 4. Right there, 4. Okay. So the next one has brackets and division. So brackets comes first. So that gives us 10. Then we rewrite that as 20 divided by 10, which is 2. So our answer in this case will be 2. Here we have addition and then division. So division comes first before addition. So we will divide the two numbers, 8 divided by 4, which is 2, and then 7 plus 2, which is 9. So we're going to write that as our answer, 9. BIDMAS still, multiplication and brackets. Brackets come first. So we're going to add the numbers in the brackets. 11 plus 9 is 20. Then rewrite that as 2 times 20, which is 40. And that is our answer. So always remember to write BIDMAS in each formula so that you're able to follow the order. So here, multiplication and addition. So multiplication comes first. So we're going to multiply 3 times 5 to get 15. And then rewrite 15 plus 4, which gives you 19. So 19 will be our answer in this case. So in the next one, we have negative, or rather minus and multiplication, subtraction and multiplication. So we'll start with multiplication. So negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. Negative right there. And then 20 minus 15 is going to give you 5. And that will be our answer. Rounding. Things to remember: if the next number is less than 5, round up. If it's greater than 5, round down. So here we are to round this to 2 decimal places. So you count the first 2 decimal places. The next number right there, 8, it's 5 and above. So we are going to round the 3 up. Yes, if it's 5 or more, round it up. So the 3 will be rounded up to 4. So we'll have our answer as 2.74. Oh my goodness, it's 2.74. Write the number 7,378 to the nearest 100. So we will note the place values. So that's ones, tens, hundreds. So the number that is next to the hundreds is the tens. So this 7 is 5 or more. So it will round the 3 up to 7,400. So that's our answer. And then we have 28,569 people. And we have to round that up to or off to the nearest 100. So the 100 is the 5. So we take note of the next number, which is 6. 6 is 5 and more. So we round the 5 up to 6. So this one will be 28,600. 28,600. Oops, I forgot the 8 right there. All right, write this to the nearest 100. So we write the number, note the place value. So ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands. So we are going to focus on the digit in the hundreds, which is 6. The digits close to it, so that's the 6. The digit next to it is the 4. So the 4 is below 5. So it's going to not round the 6 up. So it will remain with it as 5,600. So write that to the nearest 1,000. Once again, place value, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. Once we add the thousands, we stop there because that's our focus. So we write, we underline the 7. Take note of the next number, that is 7. So it's 5 and above. So it's going to round that number up by 1. So we'll have that written as 198,000 right there. 198,000. Write the number 28.75 to the nearest whole number. So once again, this is 8.75. So make a boundary between the whole numbers and the decimal places. So you take note of the next number, that's the one in the tenths. It's 5 and above, so it's going to round the 8 up by 1. So we'll have that as 29. Write the number 7,380 to the nearest 1,000. So place value, very important. 7 is our focus. The number next is 3. So 3 is not going to round the 7 up. Write 157 correct to the nearest 10. 10 means tens. So 5 is our focus. The number close to 8 is 7. 7 is 5 and above. So it's going to round that up to 6. So we'll have that written as 160. So I'll write that down. 160 as our answer. estimating calculations. So here we are told to round these numbers to one significant figure. So 3.1 is the same, it's rounded to 3. 9.87 to one significant figure, so we take note of the 8. It rounds the 9 up by 1, so we'll have that written as 10. 0.509, significant figures will always start after the first number, so the zeros on your left are not counted. The first number after any 0 on your left is the first significant figure. So there we have 5 as the first one, 2 and 3. So 0 will not round the 5 up. That's why we have 0.5. Right. So now that we have rounded those numbers to one significant figure, we are going to try and calculate this using the numbers we have. So 3 times 10 is going to be 30. So we'll write that down as 3 times 10, which is, 3 times 10 is given by 30 and then 0.5. So I need to get rid of this decimal place. So I'll multiply by 2, the smallest number, and that will give me 60 over 1, which is the same as 60 right there. So as an estimate, that question will be like that. So here we are given, so at this point you can pause this video and try solve these questions at each point. So the number of liters per day is 21.7 liters. And in this case, we need to round this or to estimate this to one significant figure. So 21.7 will be given as 20. 280, 1, 2, 3. So the 1, 2, and 3 are the numbers, the significant figures, all right? So we always start counting from the left-hand side. Yeah, so we'll have that as 300. And then we are going to use that in the calculation. So if one day gives 20 liters, how about 300 days? So remember, we are using the numbers that we have estimated. So 300 times 20 over 1, we cross multiply. So that gives us 6,000 liters in 300 days. But these liters were to be divided into half a liter bottle. So we are going to take the 6,000, divide it by 0.5. The 0.5 is already rounded to one significant figure, so we don't need to round that. So that we multiply the denominator by 2 so that we get rid of the decimal. So that will be 12,000 over 1, which is the same as 12,000 in our case. All right, so that is our estimate. Work out an estimate for the value of the one below. So estimate the 89.3 to one significant figure. The 1, 2, and 3 are the significant figures. So once we have the one that is 8, we look for the next one, the 9. The 9 rounds the 8 up to 90. So 0.51 to one significant figure, that will be written as, so 5 is the first significant figure, then 1 is the second one. So the 1 will not round the 5 up, so we'll have that as 0.5. So in this case, there's no need to write 0 after the 5. So 4.8 to one significant figure. So the 4 is the one significant figure. So we consider the next number, which is 8, 5 and above. Yeah, so that gives us 5. So we go ahead and use that now in the calculation. So this is 90 times 0.5 divide by 5. So it's much easier to solve this quickly. 90 times 0.5 is 45 over 5, which gives you 9. So as an estimate, that should give you 9. So here is the last question. So estimate that to one significant figure. So 4 is the first, the next is 9, 5 and above. So it rounds the 4 up. So we'll have that as 5. So the next one is 2.16. 1, 2, 3. 3 significant figures, but we only need 1. So we consider the next one 1. 1 is below 5, so it's gonna round. It's not going to round the 2, so we'll remain with 2. 7.35 will be those are 3 significant figures. 1, 2, 3. So when you count that, you have 7 as the first, second, third. So the next number after the 7 is 3. 3 is below 5, so it's not gonna round the 7 up. So we'll have that as 7. Good. So now that we have the rounded numbers, then we can be able to substitute that. And so let's solve it even before bringing in the square root. So 5 plus 2 times 7. So start with multiplication first. So 2 times 7 is 14. In BIDMAS, we have to start with multiplication and then addition. So in this case, we are going to multiply 2 times 7, which is 14, and then 5 plus 14, which is 19. Now the square root of 19. In estimation, we are going to look for perfect squares that are close to 19, okay? Perfect squares are 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, and so on. Yeah, so 19 lies between 16 and 25. The square root of 16 is 4. The square root of 5 of 25 is 5. So of course the square root of 19 will also lie between 4 and 5. So when you look at 19, is it closer to 16 or closer to 25? It's closer to 16. So we can say that the square root of 19 will be 4.